Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of completing every Pokemon game's Pokédex. This video I'll be completing Pokemon Crystal's ridiculous Pokédex, coming 4 years after Pokemon Red and adding 100 new Pokemon. I have a big task ahead of me, so let's get started. Psst. This video took almost 3 weeks to record and even more time to write and edit, so I'd really appreciate it if you just pop down and give me a subscription. Last video you guys got us to 34 subscribers and I know we can get to 40 subs by the end of the year. Anyway, thanks and enjoy the video. Our adventure begins in New Bark Town, where we get to choose our first Pokemon. So I chose Totodile. Despite it being my least favorite Johto starter, it still is the best starter for Johto. After going through the initial story, with meeting our rival and Mr. Pokemon, we finally got access to Pokeballs and started to work on our Pokédex, where I encountered my first dilemma. The concept of time-based encounters are not exclusive to Crystal. I mean, by this point there are already 100 nighttime encounters. But unlike the current games, changing the clock wasn't exactly an intended feature. The Pokemon Company really wanted us to experience this game in real time. Nowadays, the in-game time is tied to the console's clock. These games were tied to the battery. The only way to change the time is by a code which is calculated by your name, ID number and money. An interesting fact that this feature isn't even available in the Japanese version, so all you could do is just wait. But let's not forget that the English version isn't that accessible either. The way to access the menu to change the clock is to hold down, B, select, let go of down and B, then hold up and left and then let go of select. With this I was able to catch nighttime encounters like Hoothoot and Leddyba. With that I defeated Falkner's team and made my way to the second gym. In the Pokemon Center I was given the Togepi egg and took care of the event surrounding Azalea Town, which is home to a new mechanic. Deep inside Ilex Forest, there's a man that can teach your Pokemon Headbutt. By interacting with the short trees, you can encounter a bunch of exclusive Pokemon. Although some Pokemon like Caterpie and Weedle can just be found by walking in a patch of grass, Pokemon like Heracross are exclusive to specific Headbutt trees, which are random depending on your ID number. But thanks to some online calculators, this won't be a problem at any further point in the series. After beating the second and third gym, which to be honest only took a couple tries, I got my bike and went up to National Park where a new mechanic lies. On Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, the bug catching contest is held in National Park. This is basically Johto's Safari Zone, and although these Pokemon can't run, you're locked to a 15-minute timer and 20 park balls. This minigame is important to the challenge for a couple of reasons. One, because it's the only location in the game where you can catch Scyther and Pinsir. But also if you manage to get first place, you can get a Sunstone, which again is the only place in the game where you can get one. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're almost never going to win. In most cases, on the left side of the park, you'll encounter Cool Trainer Nick, who is coded to catch a level 15 Pinsir, which fun fact is not even available in the park. So getting the 2 Sunstones that I need would be very difficult. I went on my way getting Bugcatcher Arnie's number, which brings me to the next mechanic. In most cases I wouldn't want someone's phone number, but in the game certain trainers can call you informing you have an increase of Pokemon in a certain area. Some Pokemon like Dunsparce and Yanma are 1% encounters, and these forms can increase the chance of you encountering them. After catching the static Sudowoodo, I went to the Burn Tower and completed the events surrounding it. In the basement you can scare away the legendary beast, which unlocks one of the most tedious parts of this challenge. Every generation after generation 2, Pokemon like Raikou or Latias are wild legendary Pokemon, which will flee the first chance they get, and also they move around the map a lot. But I'll come back to this later. After battling the 4th gym leader, I got the HM for Surf, got the medicine for Jasmine Ampharos, defeated Chuck, then Jasmine. Making my way towards the 7th gym, I was able to add a shiny Pokemon to my collection. And I killed it. After clearing the Rocket Hider and claiming the 7th gym badge, we were let loose to go east of Mahogany Town through the Ice Bath, and I took on Clear to get the 8th gym badge. On the way to the Elite Four, I traded the red scale for the XP share, then made my way towards Indigo League. which wasn't too difficult to defeat because with the moveset Dig, Surf, Bite and Ice Fang, I basically swept the Elite Four. But we still have a lot more to go. The post-game for the Johto games involves you taking a trip on the SS Aqua to Vermilion City, where my goal was to complete the post-game as quickly as possible. After defeating the Vermilion, Saffron and Celadon gym, I got the Poké Flute expansion card from the man in the Pokémon Tower, woke up the sleeping Snorlaxes east of Vermilion, defeated the Cerulean, Pewter, Cinnabar and Viridian gym. The next place for most people would be Red on Mount Silver. But I'm not gonna fight a level 77 Venusaur with a level 70 Feraligatr, so instead I'm gonna work on the Pokédex. In Gen 2, Pokemon added a new way to evolve Pokemon like Golbat and Chansey. A Pokemon that has a friendship level of 222 will evolve. Keeping a Pokemon in your party, battling it, using an item on it, or getting it groomed will raise a Pokemon's friendship. Sure, Pokemon like Golbat and Eevee were easy to evolve because I got it the first chance I got, but Pokemon like Chansey I got very late, took a long time to evolve. Just like any Pokemon game, some Pokemon evolve from evolutionary stones. That's not the difficult part, it's getting the stones. While both Sunstones and Moonstones are accessible, you can get Infinite Sunstones in the bird catching contest, while you can get Infinite Moonstones in Mount Bill. But you can only get one of each of the other 4 stones from Bill's grandfather. The only other way to get the 4 stones is to get them from phone calls from certain trainers who call at random times telling you that they got a special item, and if you talk to them in person, they'll give you one. This can get a bit tedious. Entei, Raikou, Suicune, Lugia and Ho-Oh are the only legendary Pokemon that can be caught in Crystal. I already found and caught Entei randomly, while Raikou took a bit longer, but Suicune, Lugia and Ho-Oh are static encounters. But Suicune is a static encounter in the Tin Tower. I caught it through Jinx inflicting sleep and then lowering its HP with Ice Punch, and I did the same thing for Ho-Oh and Lugia, who were in Whirl Islands and the Bell Tower. I've talked extensively about how Dratini is extremely difficult to evolve, but Larvitar is tremendously difficult to evolve, because the highest level Dratini or Dragonair you can catch is level 40, only 15 levels away from evolving. But the highest level Larvitar is level 20, 35 levels away from evolving, and the last time I checked, 35 is a higher number than 15. And the big upside of playing Pokemon Crystal is that this game is incredibly accessible in terms of completing the Pokédex. For how difficult it was to fit 2 regions in one tiny cartridge, they did a really good job of it. They did a really good job of not leaving out any Pokemon, to the point where it felt like they just left out Pokemon to have a point in trading. Pokemon like the Johto starters, Girafarig, the Mareepline, and Remoraid are the only Pokemon I need to get in Pokemon Gold and Silver. Of course, to complete the Pokédex, I'd have to play another generation. And since this game isn't visibly appealing in 2024, I tried to complete it as fast as possible, and it only took a couple days. The first main goal was to beat Brock, and since all they gave is a Pikachu, I decided to catch a Nidoran male and quickly evolved it, and then quickly evolved it again with a Moonstone. And once I got this moveset on Nidoking, it was fairly easy to beat the rest of the game. After beating the Elite Four, I got a Bulbasaur from the woman in Cerulean, a Charmander from a man on Route 24, a Squirtle from Officer Jenny in Vermilion, an Omanyte from the Helix fossil I got in Mount Moon, an Articuno in Seafoam Islands, a Zapdos in the Power Plant, a Moltres in Victory Road, a Mewtwo with a Master Ball I got in Silphcone in Cerulean Cave, and a Mew I got from the Mew glitch in Cerulean City. Since this is the only way to get Mew in the 2 generations, I had to use the Mew glitch, but still I had to play Pokemon Yellow twice to get Kabuto, and once I got all of them, I traded all of them over to Crystal. After a little over 100 hours over each game, I had a complete Pokédex. But still one Pokemon was missing. Celebi. But unfortunately, since I'm not playing the Japanese version of this game, I can't get Celebi. But for my accomplishment, I got this diploma from the game director in Saffron City. Now I'm going to have to wrap this video up, and I'll see you all later.